Well, I'm getting ready to hook up a wiring harness for the hitch I just put on my 2007 Lexus RX350. I'll show you what I have. So there's the back of the Lexus, and I just started taking it apart to put the hitch in, or the harness. I thought, well, I better record it. So this is the hitch I bought. There's the numbers. Hopefully you can get those. Now, I watched quite a few videos on this, and they all use an aftermarket wiring harness, which you had to cut the end off of the plug and play in the sidewall and then splice it together. I thought, well, if they made that plug and play, then Lexus or Toyota, since they're kind of the same, should have made a wiring harness that just plugs in. So I spent a little extra money, and I got this wiring harness. Whether it'll work or not, I don't know. I'm hoping. I'm not even sure exactly how I'm going to mount it or where I'm going to run it out of, because normally they're pretty long, and I leave them in this compartment down here, and then when I want to take them out, I just pull it out, and I may do the same thing with this, and then I just plug my trailer into it, and then it's out of the weather the rest of the time. Got a little break in there. Well, anyway, so in order to do this, you need to remove your sunshade. If you don't know about these, they just pull back and they cover whatever you have in the back so people don't see your groceries or whatever. So I'm going to take that out, and on this one, if I remember right, you just push these buttons forward and that'll pop out of there on both sides. It also had carpet, which I already took that out. And then the next thing you have to do, according to the videos I watched, is you got to take this loose in the front, and it's got little clips that hold it. You see there's one there. There's one here that did not come out. It came out of the cardboard or whatever that stuff is. But I'm going to get those four out, and then there's a bolt there. You can see the head of it, one on both sides, and then that part comes out, which would be the front of the storage compartment here. So that comes out, and then there's some push pins. So let me get those other clips out, and I'll see what size bolts those are and get those out of there. So I got the clips all out. As you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 5 of them. This one pulled through the material. I popped it out of there and went down here, and it's in behind the seat, so I'll have to find that later. Anyway, I got those out, flipped that back. These are 12mm bolts here. There's 2 of them, and I'm using my Hitachi. It's like an impact wrench, but it's small. It works really good for taking screws and stuff in and out. So anyway, I'm going to get that other bolt out, and then we'll pull this out and see what we have. Well, that came out pretty easy. Once you take those 2 bolts out, the whole thing just lifts out. That's sitting over here. I just pulled on the handle, everything came out. So when you put it back together, it'll be the reverse. Set it in place. There's where your bolts go. There's one there, one over there. So according to the videos I watched, the next thing you gotta do is take out this push pin here, take out this push pin here, and then this comes out, and then we'll start working on this back section. Now, I do have some tools I use for taking side panels off on doors and other stuff. I tried this one. It just wasn't quite enough room because it's recessed down a little bit. But I've got this pointy one. I just popped it right underneath there, and I got it partially out. And now I'll just take this red one, because it'll fit in there now. There. And that's what they look like. They just snap in, hold in by friction. So now this panel is supposed to come out of there. So, let's see if I was back far enough. Just lift it out of there, and then we'll move on to the next one. Now your wiring harness connector is in behind this panel. And why they didn't just make a little cover plate, well, I guess you wouldn't want the wiring harness coming through here. You want it going down underneath someplace, so I guess that's why. But it's a process just getting to the plug. Now these buttons release these compartments, so you have access to this storage. And again, there's a push pin there, and there's a push pin there, one on each side. And supposedly you pop those out, then this back tray will come out. Let's see if that works. It was a little tight trying to grab this with my fingers, so I just used the red plastic pry tool. And then these releases, if you can see them down there, let's see, get it, where'd you go, little release? No. Well, anyway, you push this in, and it because that locks into this, I think right in here. Anyway, then that just comes right out of there. We'll set it over there with the other stuff. Let's see if there you can see the pin. When you push this, it releases it. That gives you the slack you need on both sides to lift that out of there. Now, I think, if I remember right, I've got to take these 6 bolts out to get this out of the way. And we're doing all that so we can get this plastic tray out here, which will give us access to behind this panel. So let me get my drill and my 12mm socket. I don't know if this is going to work because, oh, there they go. They'll get out of the way far enough. We'll pop those out of there. Should be easy breezy. Okay, so I was wrong. You don't have to take that side off, I don't think. You got 2 bolts that go here and 2 nuts that go on there. Now the nuts with these studs wouldn't let my socket go in. So what I did is I just took the socket off the drill and just set it down on top of the nut, and there was just enough room so it's set on there like that instead of like that, but it still worked. Got them out. Now I remember there's another push pin right there. I guess that's the emergency. There's a push pin there, and then this plastic tray should, it's all coming back to me. I watched the video. I don't remember when, but anyway, I forget stuff. There's another bolt right there. Then this comes out, and I think the wiring harness is right there. Hopefully I don't have to get into this side panel at all. Let's see. Okay, so there's a push pin here at the back, push pin there. And I'm not sure if this is a nut or what it is. Oh, there it comes off. Huh. Must be a stud down there that snaps onto. We'll find out here in a minute. I ended up putting a 16mm socket on it, started unscrewing it, because my 12, I tried 12 and 14, they didn't work. Let me get this last pin out of here and see what we have. Leave it to Lexus to do a good job. I think I know what that rubber, you see the wiring harness here, it's got that rubber plug, and I was wondering where that went. Well, there's a rubber plug right there, so I'm guessing what I can do is just plug this in there, run this down through the hole, put this plug in, and then this wiring harness, I'll get some plastic zip ties, hook it up to the hitch, and it'll be down there where I need it. And it does have a bracket, so I can put a couple screws into it on the bottom of the bumper. I'm assuming that'd be a good place for it. So that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be pretty easy. That's why I went with the plug and play, because the other choice is they clip these wires, get rid of this plug, and then they, you can use some kind of connectors or solder them together, whatever. But I didn't want to do that because they already made this plug to make this simple. And the other guys ran their wire up inside of here and kept it. I think I'm going to like this a lot better. So let me get that plug out of there. Should just be able to use about anything, I would think. Maybe even my fingers. Yep. Look at that. there's the hole that goes down below. So I'll run this wire and harness up from the bottom up, plug it in, put the plug back in, clean off any dirt. There's a piece of gravel. Let's see what that does. Well, in my opinion, that was worth the money. I've got the plug back in. It's real pliable, just like this one. I just folded it in half, stuck it up through the hole, got that plugged in, put that back down there where it belongs and seal it off so water doesn't come inside your trunk. And the next thing I have to do is just get down here and figure out, now probably with some self-tapping screws, how much do I have? A guy could, you want it so you can reach it kind of easily. And that's kind of got some reinforcement right there. Sorry, I'm not looking at my camera. I'm thinking I'll zip tie this up somehow or another, and then I'm just gonna come on, get out of there. I'll put some self-tapping screws in there, or bolt, something, and then I'll have it right there, and it's going to be easy to plug in and unplug. It's got a cap to keep the moisture out, and there's a little extra here. I'll zip tie that. I don't know if that'll pull up inside the trunk or not. I'm not sure about that. If it will, that's what I'll do, but otherwise I'm just going to get it wrapped around this hitch in whatever way I can and zip tie it. I think that's going to be the cat's meow. Let me go see what I have for screws. I'm just trying to fill back up in here. I guess that's just plastic, so. But it's a little bit thicker. It feels like it's about 1/4 inch thick, so either some screws or some bolts will hold that hitch right, or the plug right in place like that. And it'll be easy to reach. It'll be out of the weather for the most part. It's going to be dandy. Alright, let me finish this up. See what it looks like. Well, it's all done. Well, the installation part. Now I have to put everything back together. But that's what it's going to look like on the outside. Now I could have moved it over a little closer, which maybe I should have. I had enough slack. But I found a couple of self-tapping screws I had, and I put small washers on them from another project. And then I found out by tucking it up inside of here, it's out of the way. As you can see, it's not going to hang down and grab on something. Then I put a zip tie right here to hold it up there so it's not going to move. It's got a little bit of slack, so it's not going to rub itself raw, hopefully. And now there is a bolt hole up there. I suppose a person could find the right size bolt and a little clamp that up there. But I'm not going to bother. This is going to be perfect. Now, there's access to the back of this, so if these don't end up being substantial enough to hold this, you know, plugging and unplugging, if they come loose, I'll get some small 1/2-inch bolts and I'll bolt it up there, and it'll still be easy to get to. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm glad I spent the money. And I like this a lot better than having it pinched in the tailgate, because I've done that before. And I always worry about over time breaking the wires. Then you got to do it again. Now this hitch, as you can see, does kind of go over the top of the spare tire there. Hopefully I won't have to use that. And I guess that's it for my installation. I'm going to put everything back together. I guess I'll go ahead and film that. If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. But if you're like me and have a crappy memory, maybe it'll help you out. So as I'm putting this back together, I'm kind of looking at it, and there's a little peg right here, or I don't know what you'd call it, but there's a slot right there that goes into. So that can help you line that part up. I should get something to hold my phone while I'm filming. But hopefully, the plan is just get that to fit in there. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember, it goes underneath this part, then it should slide in there. Wiggle it back and forth. There's gotta be a stud sticking up. Boy, now it's all locked in, doesn't want to come apart. Wasn't that hard to get out to begin with. Hang on a second. Okay, so there is a stud down here, and there's a slot here. And it has to go underneath this piece and on top of this piece. So let's get that done. So I got everything lined up. This part goes under this part, under that part. Got the pin in. Got the pin in there. I got the nut on down there, which doesn't really seem to get too tight. And that's lined up. So next thing I will do is put this back on, and that's 2 nuts here, 2 bolts here, and that part will be in. Okay, so I got this back on. That involved those 2 bolts, like I said, and the 2 nuts on the other side. And now the plastic tray, which is this one, just slips back in place. Pretty easy. And put your push pins on the sides. Now usually what I do is I forget what I'm doing, and I'll put something together, and then I'll have to take it back apart because I didn't put it in order. But in this case, I think I got it right. So these are kind of cool. You push it and releases it, and if you need more room, they do pop back straight up and down so they're perpendicular. That's kind of cool. I'm not quite sure what that is, but maybe it is. It looks like a CD player, but I really have no idea what it is. Something I don't need. I mean, I don't need access to it. So next thing is going to be that black tray, and it's got, looks like 2 black push pins to hold it in. So let's get that in. Yep, that just slipped down in there pretty easy. 2 push pins hold it in. At least it's not too bad of a project. It's pretty easy. It just takes about an hour because you got to take a lot of stuff apart. But you don't have to cut pieces, and you know, it's fairly easy to do. Next thing I'm going to do is put that piece back in. I'll get that clip. I'm going to have to find that little clip that came out. It's not 100% necessary, but I'm going to put it back in and then snap it all back together. And it has 2 bolts to hold it. Remember that bolt there and the bolt there. So let's get that put in. So I'm looking all over the place trying to find this because it looked like it fell underneath the seat. So I'm trying my best to reach under there. Well, it went down on the concrete on the other side of the door. We're standing here, you can't see it. So I say, well, if I can't find it under the seat, maybe it's out here someplace. Sure enough, it was. I got it snapped back into place. Don't forget to put the bolts in first, Jim. I'll get those 2 bolts in, then we can snap these 5 clips in. Well, that's about it. She's back together. I just have to put the sunshade in and the carpet on the floorboard. Now when you're doing all this stuff, it'd be a good time to clean your carpets, you know, vacuum them, clean all the nooks and crannies if you want. I'm just not going to take the time right now. So if you have this vehicle, once you fold this down, it locks in place. You have to pull this lever here to release it. So it's kind of cool. Keeps it secure, I guess. So that's in place. Now I'm just going to throw this out here for extra. Both of these seats, you can take the headrest out and move it all the way forward, and it'll lay all the way down flat. So this part is even with this part. I tried it the other day, and it's kind of cool because my wife can sit in the back seat over there, stretch her legs completely out, and still wear a seat belt, because she likes to sit in the front seat and put her feet up on the dash, which is not safe. If you have an accident, the airbag's going to break your legs or something. So this way, not that we'll do it much, I don't know, but if you were camping and you wanted to you know, lay down for a while and sleep, you could do that. These seats also adjust backwards, so it's kind of like a recliner. They also move forward and backwards. So if you need more room in the back, you can slide the seat forward. If you need more leg room, slide the seats back. That's just a bonus. I'll get this all put back together and show you what it looks like. I know it's kind of dark, but it's back together. Now, this is made, I think there's some little clips. This is made to go up there, clip into something, and seal that off so people can't see there, I guess. But a heads up, when you take this sunscreen out, it's easier if you pull it out a little bit, and then you can cock it sideways once you get these front pieces loose, because otherwise it's kind of a tight fit, doesn't want to pop out of there. But if you pull it out a little bit, you can get it on an angle and it comes out pretty easy. Well, there she is. Hitch is installed. Took me 30 minutes. I bet two guys, if you were prepared, 15-20 minutes could put a hitch on this thing. And wiring harness, allow yourself about an hour. If you hustle, if you know what you're doing, watch the video a couple times, you could do it in 30 minutes maybe. But it's pretty easy once you know what you're doing. So I highly recommend going with the factory wiring harness, because it's a nice, clean, quick installation. You don't have to cut and splice wires. Hope this helps somebody out. Stay tuned for any other videos I do. I will do a walk around on this thing. It's kind of cool. I gave you a little bonus footage, but there's some cool features about this thing. Some people know, some people don't. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.